Welcome to the Bird Gang Nation Sports Media Show, repping the greatest team of all time. Let's go! Bird Gang 31, he be the host with the most. We going deep, burning teams. They ain't nothing but toast. It's in your rest there. Sirianni put me in coach, running like Miles Sanders till I bump my head on the post. Touchdown! Yeah, that's coming. Javonta's crazy route running. Jalen hurting them, throwing lasers to Rager, young gunning. Come on! On the D side, we ride, sack him with Fletcher, lay him out on the stretcher. No one can protect you. Watch Darius lay him, shutting down your routes. Come on! In my green John, eating Philly cheesesteaks. Put up your cups, wings up, if you can relate. Tailgating at the Lincoln like Gangsta Stride. To the Bird Gang Nation, that's worldwide. On Sundays, catch the pre and post game. Mondays is Birds on Broad Street with Philly Notion and Cool Cat, the man in motion. And Wednesdays, the midweek special got you open with JC from Eagles Talk. Hitting like B-Dog, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Bird Gang Nation Sports Talk. I'm your host, Bird Gang 31. Today, Nation, we have another very special guest in the house. It's from High Huddle. Nick's in the building today to talk some Broncos Eagles football. How you doing today, my guy?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. That's a pretty darn good intro you got there. I'm really impressed. I'm ready to hit somebody. It's like the old school Madden games where, like,
right, get you all pumped and ready to go.
It was great.
Man,
and
thanks,
I love seeing Ryan Dawkins there at the
shout
end.
out to you, man. Great intro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, do I ever change it or just leave it? Because it's so good. You know what I'm saying? Who cares about next year? Just keep the same one rocking the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But
it was gorgeous, man. I was about it.
He said he can do something better even. So I might see what he got. I have two intros. So how you doing, my guy, man? Welcome to the show. You know, how's it over there at Mile High Huddle?
Things are good. Things have been very up and down this season. Obviously, the Broncos started off feeling pretty good this season, 3-0 out of the gate. You know, are they pretenders? Are they not pretenders? But it's the NFL, right? It's hard to win any games. We saw that last night with the Dolphins beating the Ravens. We saw it last week with the Jags beating the Jags beating the Bills. So starting 3-0, that's great. Then they lose 4 in a row in pretty bad fashion. The linebackers falling apart, offensive line kind of falling apart. But now they're on a win streak again, and they are going for a clean sweep of the NFC East with a win today, if they win this week against the Eagles. So should be a good game. It's two teams that, you know, the Broncos are, what are they, 5-4, Eagles are 3-6, but these are two teams that I think are extremely, extremely close. So I'm going to be curious to see how it works out for them. I think these are two very similar teams.
Yeah, man, we definitely got some similarities going on, from injuries to, you know, we're trying to figure out a run game, you know what I'm saying, to two Alabama receivers, you know what I'm saying, that are looking pretty good for both of our squads, man. What was your take on the Broncos coming into the season? Like, what kind of record predictions did you have for you guys?
I had the Broncos at 9-8. I thought that this was a team that had a chance to be pretty talented, but they were going to be extremely young still on the offensive side of the ball. And I expected a much better defense than they've put up so far this season. Now, they are second in the league in points per game allowed, but that's partially of how the Broncos play their game. They are a team, I think they're 4th in the NFL this year in time of possession per drive. They've given the defense, I think, the second best starting field position. So the defense is actually, for advanced statistics, they're about league average so far, even if they're not giving up a lot of points. And the offense has actually been above average. But, you know, 9-8, 10-7, I thought that was about right, given the talent they have and the questions they have at the quarterback position.
Oh, nice, man. What is your impressions of Teddy Bridgewater? Were you more of a lock guy or?
No, I was more of a Justin Fields guy at pick number 9. So that upset me tremendously when that happened. But, you know, Patrick Surtain looks incredible so far. Like, it's the guys you miss sometimes that hurts pretty bad, especially if it's the quarterback position. But at least Patrick Surtain can ball. I mean, he looks like he's going to be incredible for the next 10 plus seasons. So can't be too upset about that. As far as Bridgewater versus Locke, this was always going to be a short-term solution. I thought Locke was worth a shot there in the second round. Arm talent, enough athleticism. Maybe he figures it out. Maybe he doesn't, but it's not a big commitment in that regard. He hasn't looked as good as your second round quarterback's been looking this season. So the Broncos, then Teddy Bridgewater comes in. He's steadied the ship. He's been playing fine. I like to use cross sports analysis a lot of times because it just makes it all come home. Teddy Bridgewater, he's a Rajon Rondo of the quarterback position. You know, he's not going to be shooting. He's not going to be creating like Steph Curry or get into the paint like Russell Westbrook. But if you can surround him with good players, he can elevate those guys, get them to the ball in time, in space, and let them do stuff after the catch, get him the right run check. So he's not a superhero. He's not an incredibly gifted quarterback, but he does enough to maximize the pieces around him where if you can play complementary football, you got a chance to beat anybody any given Sunday. And we just saw that last week where the Broncos embarrassed the Cowboys in Dallas.
Hey, we love that over here, man.
Yeah.
We loved how you guys put the whooping on the Cowboys, man. That was awesome. We're like, yeah. But
Absolutely.
hey, don't be bringing that, back to my high. I think that's about to happen again. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop that sweep of the East, and we got to be the first team out there to go ahead and stop that one. So we got to pump our brakes a little bit. Do you think that was just like, I didn't think you guys were going to do that good, especially since you guys let go of Von Miller, man. What's your impressions on that?
Moving on from Von Miller, I mean, you got a chance for a second and a third round pick for a 32-year-old edge rusher who, was not really contributing like you'd want on this season. And for the direction this team was going, it made a lot of sense. The Broncos are not as well set up draft capital wise as the Eagles with, 3 first round picks, looking like top 15 picks. But the Broncos are very much going to be in the quarterback market this offseason. Kind of we talked about just a second ago. Teddy Bridgewater versus Drew Lock was always going to be a temporary solution. Now the Broncos have 5 picks in the top 100. They have the second most cap space in the NFL this upcoming offseason. They can be aggressive for a potential Russell Wilson, for an Aaron Rodgers as well. And if that doesn't work out, you always can bring back Teddy Bridgewater for a short-term deal, look into the draft, and give yourself an option while that young quarterback's coming up. But as far as the Von Miller trade and what it means for this team overall, Von was traded to the Rams. I say I'm gonna be biased here. I think the Broncos won that trade. Obviously, the Rams, I give them a hats off. A lot of people I think are clouded by the Patriots and how like a decade, 15 years of a window. That's not really realistic for most teams. Your window is very small, and when you're in it, I say go for it. So hats off to the Rams for doing that.
They're going for it, man.
Yeah.
Odell
OBJ
Beckham,
now too. Yeah.
Von
they're
Miller,
great.
Man, they are definitely throwing all in, man. Stafford, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys, especially if Odell goes smooth, you know what I'm saying? He can stay from getting injured, you know what I'm saying? And he can get into that rotation. Cooper Kupp's already the guy there, you know what I'm saying? Then you got, your boy, my boy Woods from USC over there. Yeah, my boy Woods. And then you bring in OBJ. That's scary. That's scary, man. I think, man, to me, until they show that they're not a cohesive unit, I think you got to put them as favorites for the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? That move was pretty big. You know what I'm saying? I think it was that big of a move where it's like, okay, now you got another pass rusher to go with the best pass rusher in the league. And you done picked up another receiver that when he is healthy and on his game is one of the elite receivers in the game, man.
Yeah.
Whew, it's going to be nice.
I don't want to be that guy, but I've seen the NFL for enough years now where it feels like if there isn't one true dominant team, who ends up holding up the hardware in the end? Goddamn Tom Brady. So I'm not going to bet against the Buccaneers. See, I'm a Patriots, the Buccaneers until they get knocked out of the playoffs. I know that the Rams beat them earlier, but there's just something about Tom Brady. And also Tom Brady always on a freaking phenomenal team. I mean, they
did that for him last year, man.
Forever.
You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's like, oh, Tom's so great. Like, did you see all the people that went to Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
the
absolutely.
team was super stacked. Like that was ridiculous, man. That was definitely ridiculous. That's why I'm saying? I have my opinions about Tom. You know what I'm saying? Like he's good, but do I put him like the best quarterback of all time? No, I wouldn't go that far. Like I understand like rings are a team sport thing, you know what I'm saying? Like there's quarterbacks that suck that got a Super Bowl ring. You know what I'm saying out there. So it's like, I give you credit for winning, being together with Bill, and now you done did it without him, but look what they did for you to get you that. You know what I'm saying? Like you had talent beyond talent, the backup for talented, you know what I'm saying? Like so, but he is a GOAT. He's one of the greatest ones, but he's just not the greatest one. I like Peyton more than Brady. I was
We're
more of a
friends.
Peyton
We can be
Manning
friends.
guy.
Me too. I love Peyton. I got to meet him a couple times. My next door neighbor married Bob Sanders, if that name means anything to you. Great safety for the Colts for a number of years. He played at Iowa, rocking my Iowa
What?
stuff. And got to go to a few Colts games, meet Peyton, meet Dallas Clark, and a bunch of stuff like that. So I'm a big Peyton guy. Maybe that's me being super biased, but thank you, Andre, for saying what's up. What's up to you, man? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, no, as far as the AFC and the NFC goes, I do think that right now it's hard to not pick the Buccaneers. I know their secondary is kind of a mess, but Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, JPP, Shaq Barrett, and then the weapons they have. I know that on paper, some people might argue the Rams have a better receiving core, but like I'm taking Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk, and Antonio Brown with Tom Brady before I take the Rams even.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
It's truth, man. Those guys, they did it last year. You know what I'm saying? They still got the same basically the same team, man. You know, you got to knock them off that throne. You know what I'm saying? It all matters who's doing the best at the end of November, December to me. You know what I'm saying? That's where you're going to actually see, you know, who's for real, who's not for real. Like, everybody gets hyped these first half of the season. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody, you know, yeah, your team started out hot. Now, can they sustain that? Or are they going to start tumbling? I think that was the first step of the Cowboys doing what the Cowboys do, is letting you guys destroy them. So now they can start their downward spiral while we're on our upward spiral, man. Like, I hope
I've loved it, man. They've been at each other's throats too in the media there. You know, Jerry Jones, like, oh, we knew what they were going to do. I was meeting with Mike McCarthy and the Amari Cooper in an interview post game, like, oh, well, we got beat because we were injured. Like, did you see the Broncos playing 3 backup offensive linemen and absolutely taking you guys to the woodshed on the ground for 190 yards? I mean, injuries happen, you know, like, quit making excuses, go out there and play or shut up.
Right?
Easy for me to say,
shut up. And y'all got stumped out. So that was awesome. He said, which 2022 quarterback prospect do you think you're looking at right now for the Broncos to draft?
Broncos, the second-year general manager. Last year was his first year, the first offseason, so he's still in his first year technically. George Paton has been to 2 games in the last 2 weeks, featuring 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. He went to Ole Miss down in Oxford, Mississippi, to see Matt Corral versus Malik Willis. I don't know how much you can take away from Malik Willis in that game, just given how much of a talent disparity they had in the offensive line. I think he was sacked like 9 times. Some of those were on him, but I mean, they're just getting absolutely big boyed football up front. It's hard to do anything there. And then yesterday, George Paton was at Pittsburgh to watch Kenny Pickett versus Sam Howell. So I'm of the opinion in this class, I have Matt Corral, my first quarterback, and then after that, it's just a group of 4 or 5 guys that I'd be fine taking a swing on any of them. I don't want to trade up into the top 10 to take any of them. Honestly, I'm looking to use a 2018 Ravens, I guess, philosophy or method here, where you take a guy in the first round. That's your dude. You love him. Happy about that. Then you trade back up into the first round, get that 5th round option. You're dealing with a little extra capital there, and you don't have to blow your entire, draft load on a singular quarterback in a class that looks a little weaker than what we were dealing with last year. And I would say 2023 looks a little better right now on paper than what 2022 is as well.
Yeah, that's true. Man, that's a good one. Yeah, I'm not really impressed. Like, that's why I'm like, Jalen, just continue to do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Fans, stop just looking at Jalen's arm. You got to give him the whole package, man. Together with his rushing, you can't just bypass the rushing part. He is a good quarterback, man. You got to give him some time. He's only 12 games in. You got to, let him learn the NFL. Get it down pat. There's a lot of defenses he hasn't seen yet. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of formations he probably never done, or plays he's never called before. So it's still his, like I said, second season, but first season worth of games. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens by the end of the year. I think at the end of the year you have a better understanding. You know what I'm saying? Our first 6 games we didn't run the ball. Now we run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, those kind of things matter in terms of the progression of a quarterback. So I definitely want to see what happens now that we're actually running the ball. We got Miles Sanders back. Hopefully he can get out there and do his thing again this week, getting the carries. So did you watch any Eagles football in the first half of the season?
Yeah, I've watched a few Eagles games. You guys keep letting me down. The game against the Raiders, can't knock off the gosh darn Raiders.
I can't say that we let ourselves down, my guy.
Oh, man, pulling for them.
Man, y'all some downers over there.
Close game versus the Raiders, and also a close game versus the Chargers. Just, clutching defeat from the jaws of victory a couple times there. But they've been fighting very hard. I also, I cover the once a week, one of my co-hosts for one of the shows I do is a big Falcons fan, and I do a Falcons show with him as well. So I watched that week 1 where you guys absolutely beat the absolute I mean, sad. I'm a Big Ten guy. It really reminded me of Wisconsin going up against like anybody besides Ohio State because you beat them so badly in the trenches. It was embarrassing. Andre coming in here. Why not a linebacker in the first? I am very much a draft guy. I don't know if you know that about me. I love draft team building philosophy. I personally am not somebody who believes in a linebacker in the first round. If you can help it, I'm using it on premium positions, edge rusher, cornerback, offensive tackle, quarterback. And I think you can find cornerback or linebackers day 2 every single draft class every single year. I mean, just speaking for the Broncos experience, everybody was calling for Micah Parsons last year. He's been really good, no doubt about that. But Broncos 3rd round pick this year, Baron Browning, he's been hurt and he was waffling positions before the season started. He just looked amazing last week, and they trade a 7th round pick for Kenny Young, and boom, you have competent linebackers. So I don't believe in using priority draft picks at the linebacker position, unless you have somebody who's like really, really, really special, but it adds risk doing that.
Hey, man, the Eagles need to. We've been on that road of just 3rd, 4th round, 5th round linebackers, man. This is not a road you want to stay on, my guy. You need to go get your stud. When you get your stud, once you got him, though, it's like you got him. Next 10 years, you're set. You ain't got to worry about nothing unless some contract situation comes up. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been using these 3rd and 4th rounders, like, there's talent there, but they're not the elite talent. You know what I'm saying? If you look at all the teams with the bad linebackers, those are 1st round linebackers. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're out there balling out. So it's like sometimes I think a team does have to go out. And I think this year for sure, especially having 3 1st round picks, you know what I'm saying? Like, the way the teams are playing, Miami stupid won that game, man. Now they're not, 3rd overall. They're already jumped down to 6. Like, what did you do, man? Like, that's our pick. We messed up our pick, and Carson over there if he's playing. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, to get to at least 2 in the top 10 would be, ideal, but even if you got 1 in the top 10 and then like 13 and 16, something like that, you know what I'm saying, that's still some nice talent, and there are definitely some good defensive players coming out of this draft. Whether you want to package it together and move up the draft, probably go try to get a Thibodeau type player, or, you know what I'm saying, just stand where you're at, just the best defensive players, just grab them, you know what I'm saying, just grab them.
I do want to just counterpoint you real quick with the linebacker. Who are the top 2 paid linebackers in football right now? Any idea?
Is it White?
Devin White's not been paid yet. He's still on his rookie contract.
Okay.
It's got Darius Leonard, 2nd round pick. Fred Warner.
Oh, yeah, he just got paid, though, from the Rams.
Yeah,
right?
For the Colts.
Colts,
Darius Leonard on the Colts, and then Fred Warner on the 49ers. So
Warner.
Historically, you can find linebackers day 2, but it comes down to the individual team to find that guy and develop him too. So that's where I sit on that. But the Eagles need to take the highest 1st round pick out of the first 3 and move down and get extra picks. This is something that I don't think is a bad strategy. If you are not sold on one of these quarterbacks in this draft class, the Patriots built almost a dynasty on this. They would take 1st round picks, they would add top 100 picks day 2, and then they would get plus interest for a 2020 or a future pick, right, as well. And you can just keep kicking that asset down the road because you already have so much draft picks and value accumulated. You don't want to blow it all at once. You can go give yourself flexibility in the next draft, and then the one after that, and then the one after that. So I think you're in a very enviable position if you can find somebody to trade down with and give you future draft capital as well.
It depends who's sitting at that spot.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only really, like, I think they say in the top 22, 2 stud linebackers. You got Christian Harris, I think it is, from Alabama.
Yeah, he hasn't impressed me that much.
Dude from Iowa, Linderbaum.
Jack Campbell. Oh, Linderbaum's a center, offensive center.
No, so you guys have a linebacker over there too.
His name is Jack Campbell. He's solid. Yeah, he's solid. I would say that the guys that from the college, I love NFL. I'm college football obsessed, especially the draft. Devin Lloyd at Utah. He's one that's getting a lot of buzz. He has like an incredible amount of tackles for loss. He's not great. He's not a plus player at anything, but he's like a B at everything also, and he's big. So I really like Devin Lloyd. The other one is a little bit
Georgia.
Dean. That's exactly what I was going to say. Dean from Georgia is awesome. Maybe a little bit small, but oh my God, he has so much twitch and explosiveness. And he arrives with violence. I mean, that dude, he's a maniac.
They might win the championship this year.
Oh, if they don't win, it's an upset. Yeah. If you don't get Ohio State versus Georgia, I'm going to be sad. But Georgia should win it all.
Yeah, I think I got my money on Georgia, man. I don't think Alabama had a chance this year. They've been playing some garbage football over there, and Nick Saban need to get the boys in line. But yeah, man. So, what are 3 keys to victory for the Broncos to beat the Eagles this week?
3 keys of victory for the Broncos to beat the Eagles. Well, I'm always again, I am, I told you this, I don't know if I shared it with the chat here. I am a diehard Iowa Hawkeye fan, and I put on 2 Iowa Hawkeye hats when I took my Bronco hat off, so that way I was not as fan biased. I try to be as unbiased as possible with my Broncos coverage. So I'll tell it like it is. Sometimes people get mad at me for that, but I typically am more right than I'm wrong because I'm not wearing the fan goggles. Right. So for the Broncos, number 1, very simple, turnovers. If you can win the turnover battle outside of points scored, turnover is almost like the most indicative thing to who ends up winning the game or not. The Broncos have not been forcing turnovers like you'd expect for a defense that has the amount of hype that they have. Part of that, I think, is they haven't really had a consistent pass rush up front, and they've been very passive in the back 7, with that match quarters defense, more of an off zone coverage. They switched that up a little bit with the Cowboys this last week. I think Vic Fangio, the Broncos head coach, finally said, you know what, we invested this much in the cornerback position. Why don't we let these guys play matchup zone and actually dictate up front? And that really bothered Dak. I mean, Patrick Surtain, who's dealing with an injury, I'm not even sure if he's going to go, but Ronald Darby, who you probably know, covering the Eagles,
about Darby.
He's always injured, but man, he actually has been really good these last few games. Broncos country, I think there's a romanticism with the linebacker position. People need to be talking more about Darby in Denver. He's been pretty good these last couple weeks. And they played matchup zone, and it really freaked out the Cowboys, Dak Prescott, and the Broncos also got pressure. So turnovers is number 1 for me. Number 2 is I need the Broncos to be, and Pat Shurmur, Broncos offensive coordinator, he actually was just found out he's not going to be coaching in this game because Denver is actually dealing with a COVID outbreak right now. The state of Colorado is in general, but Denver is specifically. So Pat Shurmur is going to be out. I'm not sure what that means for the Broncos, how this game's going to be called. It sounds like it'll be Mike Shula, who's the Broncos quarterback coach. He was Pat Shurmur's offensive coordinator for the Giants, so I'm sure you probably know that, being NFC East. But I want the Broncos to be almost stubborn with the ground game. And what do I mean by that? There's a chance Eagles, Jalen Hurts, this offense, and how they really put a defense in a bind. I think you guys could put up, 14 points easily in your first 4 possessions, your first quarter and a half of the game. Right. The Broncos cannot panic and be like, oh my God, we have to play shotgun. We have to play 11 personnel constantly. We have to do 7-step drops and play air raid. You're playing 3 backup offensive linemen, 2 backup tackles, and a rookie right guard who played at Wisconsin Whitewater last year. I mean, talk about a jump. Crazy. So they need to protect the quarterback. They need to protect the offensive line. And by doing so, that means using the ground attack. Even if you're behind, even if it's not working constantly, this is going to be a boxing match. And the run game, I think, needs to be used as body blows in this game. And you have 2 big backs, man. They talk about body blows. These guys are sledgehammers. Javonta Williams leading the league this year in forced missed tackles. He also he's boomer bust, but if he gets to the second level, especially against this Eagles linebacking core, I don't want to disparage you guys too much.
He looked great last week.
Yes, he is explosive.
We definitely know about that guy.
Yeah, he is very fun. So I'm Javonta Williams and Melvin Gordon also been really good. People are sleeping on how good he is because Javonta Williams is exciting, but Gordon's been really consistent as well. And then the other key to victory, I think, is the Broncos' offensive weapons taking advantage of the space. A lot of people in Broncos country have been really frustrated with Teddy Bridgewater. Now there's a very big Drew Lock or bust portion of the fan base that's made it really cantankerous for the fan base, a little bit toxic, but a lot of people are very upset with Teddy Bridgewater not throwing it past the sticks as much as you'd like. And I get the criticism, but the Broncos also, the weapons, need to do stuff after the catch because he's giving them an opportunity to do stuff after the catch, right? Like, you're not going to get a first down if it's incomplete. At least if it's short of the sticks and the guy catches it, at least you give him a chance to do something. And we saw that last week. I think there was 4 first down conversions on third down where it was short of the sticks. The guy caught it and made a move and was able to get there. So the Eagles play, I think, one of the highest rates of 2 deep safeties in the NFL from my research on the Eagles. And they give up a lot of underneath stuff. Teddy Bridgewater, man, don't overthink it. Don't force it. You got 3, 4, 5 good pass catchers. I mean, the Broncos are actually pretty decent at the skill positions. Yeah. Use those guys. Give the easy completions. Let your guys make plays in space. And eventually that'll force the Eagles to maybe to rotate into more of a cover 1, bring another guy into the box, and that's when you hit them with the play action over the top. So take advantage of the short passes, run the game efficiently, turnovers.
Hey, yeah, they do that. It's a wrap. It's wrap city. For us, like I said, get to Teddy Bridgewater early and often, man. As much as we can. We need to blitz. Get out of that too deep shell. You know what I'm saying? We get some man-to-man. We pay our cornerbacks good money too over here. Big play Slay, Nelson Island. Matt's been playing some lights out nickel, cornerback
Mhm.
out here today. I mean, on our team this year. And like you pay them to use them and be aggressive with our defense. That's the reason why no one likes him right now, because he's
Yep.
just too soft. He gets glamored by all these quarterbacks, and now they're breaking records that ain't never been broke on us before. So it's really hard to deal with stuff like that, like five quarterbacks, look like Hall of Famers when they go against us. What I'm saying? Like, that's not good. That's the worst ever in Eagles history. So I definitely need to get that stopped ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop the run. We've been doing better with the run over the last couple of weeks, so I'm not as worried about that as the beginning of the season. But like I said, we got to get to Teddy Bridgewater, knock him down early. Rattle him off his mark. We got to get play a balanced offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, run the ball at least 30 times this week. Let Miles Sanders get back in the groove. See what he can do if you gave him 15 carries in the game. Let's see what
Mhm.
Miles can do finally now that we're running the ball. And let's see, hopefully that be something nice. And then you can still use your, Howard for short yardage, Gainwell, Scotts. Those guys can be your passing, receiving backs out there, and still use them. So, but I don't want them to throw the ball. Like, never should you ever throw the ball more than 20, 25 times with Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? He's a dual threat.
Yeah.
Until he learns that passing side, that could be a year, that could be 2 years, that could be 3 years, you know what I'm saying? But you're still
Yep.
going to get enough production with the legs and from the arm, you know what I'm saying? He just got to clean up some things, he's still young, still early, and a lot of great quarterbacks had, slow starts in the
Mhm.
league. So, everybody just chill out with Jalen, let him do his thing. But run a balanced offense, like I said, like 30 times rushing, maybe like 25-yard times passing, and then you should definitely, see a better production on the offensive side. On defense, blitz like crazy, get to Teddy early and often and stop that run, and no penalties in crucial situations. That is the hugest thing too with our defense. We always getting penalties in the wrong time, man. Like Barnett, for instance, got more penalties than sacks in his career. You know what I'm saying? Like in last week, 3rd and 7, end of the game, we need a stop, to get the ball back to win the game, tied up. What does he do? Offsides. You know what I'm saying? Quarterback's not even there. He's like jumping off sides doing this thing like he always do. And now it's like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. They get the first down. Now it's like crucial. And then that's when our defensive coach sucked. Because then you got 4th and 1. The game is on the line. Like literally, if you don't stop them right now, you're still in a zone
Yep.
defense, my guy. Like, why didn't you bring the house? Why didn't you bring, the cheerleaders, the tape guy? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Bring the house on these guys on that 4th and 1 to stop it, and you didn't do it. So that was really disappointing as a fan to see that you don't even have a coach like that that's willing to take the shot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
you need that in the NFL today if you're gonna beat some of these better teams. So, like hopefully he learned from his mistake. He's still young too.
Mhm.
If both of these guys can learn, man, we still got some talent. I'm not really worried about next year. I think this year, we're not completely out of the hunt for that wild card spot. And this is the time you want to start getting hot anyway. You know what I'm saying? After the first half, you're
Mhm.
getting that second half of the season, November, December. As long as you got a good run game and your defense start playing good, those are usually the teams that pull it off to the playoffs and do big things. So I'm just saying we can just make it to the playoff wild card. I don't care if we're out the first round this year. You know what I'm saying? But it'll show growth. It'll show progress from our team. And you know what I'm saying? If we get close, say we won 9 games and we're just right outside, that still be a good season to me. So, we'll see what happens though. What do you
Yeah.
think about your team? Do you think you guys gonna end the season off right?
Oh man, it's so hard to say because this team is so injured right now. I mean, losing 3 of your starters in the offensive line could tank you, especially at the tackle position, which could be really rough. You just lost Von Miller. Hopefully, you have Bradley Chubb back, but he had surgery to have ankle spurs removed. So, how's he going to be when he comes back? I did see the question about the Broncos' 3 rookies who have stood out. I'm actually having a hard time with this because the Broncos in this last game had legitimately 6 rookies ball out in this game. George Payton, Broncos general manager, is renowned across the league for his eye in college scouting, and it looks
Mm-hmm.
like that's already paying off. The guys who have impressed me the most would probably be first-round pick Patrick Surtain. I mean, we just saw last year 2 top 10 picks at 2 years ago now, 2 top 10 picks at the cornerback position in Jeffrey Okudah and CJ Henderson. Didn't look nearly not even close to as good as Patrick Surtain has looked, and he's only 21 years old. Javonta Williams looks really good. He's a little bit boomer bust right now. He's not always the most patient in letting his blocks develop or seeing it, but now that you have the offensive line, looks like they're starting to figure it out for the ground game. maybe that's not going to matter as much. The last guy who's really impressed me and somebody I think people don't really know about, but maybe watch out for in this game is Jonathan Cooper. He
Yeah,
was
I
a
know
Ohio
about him after
State.
last week's highlights,
Yeah.
man. He
Yeah.
was all over Dak, man, like a big
Yep.
grizzly bear just attacking him. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, Coop's
Yep.
looking like he's ready to play in the NFL now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? He done hit that stride, you know what I'm saying? Like, some
Mhm.
of these young guys, once they hit that stride, that's when they're the most dangerous, because the rest of the year you're gonna see them boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
boom, feeling good
Totally.
about that. You're getting that confidence of what the teams, look for their young guys to get. You know what I'm saying? I'm still waiting for some of our young guys to get that confidence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we should see, man. Cooper is definitely a beast. Williams, like you said, like hit or miss, but like he's another one. He's hitting that stride after last week. That's a confidence boost, especially being a running back.
Totally.
Man, I know if I ran for 130 or something, baby, I'm trying to do it again next week. I'm trying to do it again. And if you do the right things on defense, you can get some rushes on our defense. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely got to watch out from that guys getting hot. And even the lesser named players are the ones that usually get us. You know what I'm saying? So watch out for Melvin Gordon, because that's definitely not a guy you want to get hot. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't do it very often, but when he's hot, he's hot. You know what I'm saying?
He's efficient. Yeah.
He can get you in the receiving game and in the freaking running game. So, Gordon's hot, fat, Noah Fan over there, that tight end. I always end up picking him on one of my, DraftKings or the FanDuels, to make sure, you need that cheap tight end that can give you some production, man. That'd be fat for you. He's had some really good games out there. You always got to watch out with him. And then probably like you said, that young defense you got. You know what I'm saying? Those guys look hungry over there. At least, like I said, from what I seen last week, I watched that tape over it again, and those guys look dangerous. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna watch out for you. You know what I'm saying? I think it's gonna be a good game, but it's I feel like this is a must win for us. You know what I'm saying? A must win, and our coaches got to prove to us that they are even the coaches. Because, like I said, 5 quarterbacks over 80%. You know what I'm saying? If this is number 6, my guy, don't get back on the plane to come back to Philly. You need to get your pink slip. Lori should be at the end of the little hallway where they go back into the locker room. Lori be standing right there with a pink slip for JG. Teddy B has over 80% on us, man. Like that.
Oh, did we lose you there? Or was that me? Looks like we're still rolling here. Well, Teddy Bridgewater is somebody who is going to have a pretty good completion percentage, regardless of what the Eagles probably do on paper. And somebody in the chat, let me know if it's me going on here who lost the connection or if it was Bird Gang here. But Teddy, you're back. I think it was you. All right.
Yeah, I don't know
we're
what
good.
happened there.
It's going to happen. Blank. Yep, I'm playing StreamYard, man, sometimes. But this is going to be a tough game for you to not have Teddy Bridgewater complete short pass or not get that completion percentage, because I think he's number 2 in the NFL so far this season in completion percentage over expected. Teddy, sometimes he's conservative to a fault. Like he needs a guy to be open if he's going to stress it. And that's, double-edged sword, because you're not getting as many explosive plays because of that, but he's also protecting the football because of that too. So you're going to have to play probably a little bit more aggressive and maybe some single high looks, which you have not been doing this season, or maybe some cover 3 kind of as well, and be a little bit more of a aggressor on the line of scrimmage with your coverage. But if you do that, I mean, look out, because everybody knows Jerry Jeudy, but Cortland Sutton, top 5 in the NFL in air yards. Tim Patrick is 6'5", and I think he had 80 yards and a touchdown versus the Cowboys last week. The Broncos got weapons, man. I know that everybody's Teddy Bridgewater has good stats right now, but I think he's a pilot right now. He's not the plane. He's not carrying this team, but he's able to distribute and find his guys and take advantage of matchups when they need be. And that's enough if your defense is playing as the Broncos have when they've won.
Yeah, man. Like I said, how do you think that really is going to affect, what I'm saying? How do you like Vic Fangio, the way he schemes out the games right now?
Vic Fangio, sometimes he's a little bit frustrating in his scheming because he's very much about his system. And that means, Von Miller is dropping into coverage more than you'd want, which can be pretty frustrating. But I think he overall does a pretty good job. And I really like the scheme when the Broncos have a lead. But I do want him to you have horses in the secondary. You actually went out and invested heavily in the cornerbacks.
Thanks.
Don't be afraid to leave those guys and push them and dictate a little bit at the line of scrimmage, because you're not out there playing with, 5th round cornerbacks. Kyle Fuller, you spent a lot on him. Patrick Surtain, you spent a lot on him. Darby, you spent a lot on him. So you need to lean into that talent at the cornerback position, because there's nothing harder to beat in this league than cover 2-man, cover 1-man when your cornerbacks can match up on the outside. And I like these Eagles receivers down the field, but I don't know if they can do it consistently. I don't know if you have a
That's what I was
consistent
going to ask you.
winner right
How
now.
do you see this matchup? Because we know Darby. So we know Darby's flaws and we know his skills. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you see the Devontae Smith-Darby matchup holding up? Or even if it's Quez versus, Fuller, because Fuller's good, but Quez is tall. You know what I'm saying? He's a little bit taller. You know what I'm saying? How has Fuller been handling these taller receivers too?
Fuller was actually benched for a little bit. It was his redemption game versus the Cowboys because we had our really good nickelback Bryce Callahan get injured out for the season, most likely, unless the Broncos make the playoffs. But Fuller moved to the slot. And send me a blanket. That sounds great. But Fuller moved to the slot, and he looked pretty competent there. So I'm excited to see what he can do going forward because he's a smart guy. He's a big cornerback as well. And I think historically the slot cornerbacks have been smaller. But with how many teams run effectively out of 11 personnel, I love having a little bit more size from that slot cornerback because then you force them to not be as easy to that crackback block from that slot. So I'm excited to see what he can do there this week. Broncos mostly play kind of a matchup zone, so it's not going to really be one cornerback versus one receiver the whole game. Biggest thing for me with the Broncos pass game in general is this is supposed to be a mostly bend don't break defense, and early in the season, especially in Denver's losses, they didn't even bend. They snapped immediately. The Raiders game, they gave up the most big play. I think
when he's running that cover 2, right? When he's trying to be safe with it. That's the worst freaking. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst defense in this day and age, man. The way these guys are freaking, eating up those cover 2 defenses, man. Why do you even run it anymore? You got to come with something different. Like, it's no such thing as bend or don't break no more because they'll eat you up 5 yards, 5 yard first. So guess what? If you keep getting 5 yards, you're getting a touchdown, my guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you didn't give up, the 70-yard bomb, but you gave up 20. Like, for us, the first game, like the first drive last week was 99-yard drive. Like, that should never happen. Yes, we stopped them on 4th down, which usually never happens. That's a rarity. A team goes 99 and not get it. But still, like, I know you can hold your hand up on that. Like, oh, I stopped them. But no, 99 yards, on the field, it's only 100. If a team can drive like that consistently on you, man, you are in some trouble. You know what I'm saying? And it's from playing that soft defense, man. Like, we need an aggressive attack style defense at all times. You know what I'm saying? Just aggressive. Because, if you lose because your team was aggressive, you know what I'm saying? You can have more respect for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we got them. You see those hits, we did our thing. You know what I'm saying? They were just a better team. But when you're doing this little same thing, not really willing to switch it up and, do something different, hey, man, like, it makes you think, are you serious, my guy? Like, you gonna make us watch more games like this? Like, it's hard when you're watching the game. You're like, how to stop them, but the coach don't know how to stop them. And they getting paid all this money to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, it's been very frustrating with our defensive coordinator. Let's just say that.
And not to give them too much of a break here, but to play the man coverage and to be aggressive like that, you have to have the horses on defense because in man coverage, you have guys who will be against any good offensive coordinator. They'll isolate a guy, and it's much harder to do that in zone. So if you have even just one bad cornerback, they're going to pick on that guy. If you have one linebacker who's, not competent in there, they're going to motion somebody out and they're going to pick on that guy. So it's really, I would say that right now the Eagles defensive coordinator Gannon is probably the defense is performing less than the sum of their parts, but it's also, I think, partially just the lack of talent.
Oh, yeah, we know it. Like, I wanted us to trade. I would have gave up a first-round pick for a stud linebacker, and a trade with somebody, someone that wasn't teams not doing as good. Hey, Von Miller, for instance, you know what I'm saying? That would have been someone awesome to bring to the team. I'm not even 100% out of Jalen Smith. I don't know why the Packers let him go, but I know he's a talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's something we can do to make him get that talent out, we still got to play the Cowboys. That's motivation in itself. Yeah, so, like, if we can get that in, you already know the rest of the NFC East, and that's what we're about to go through, a nice NFC East stretch. Like, that's perfect guy to come in and help fill that role. We just need someone big, man. Like, we need that big-time linebacker that's going to not be scared to put his body on the line, and be tackling these running backs behind the line of scrimmage instead of waiting till they're 5 yards up the line of scrimmage, Like, we got covering receivers. So that's what I'm saying. We only need one because now, linebacker. After you get that one, you can put the guys we have on the outside because they can handle the passing game and do their little thing. Because that's what they're good at. You know what I'm saying? Our pass defense hasn't been that horrible. You know what I'm saying? It's more of the run defense. than anything. So you get
Yeah.
that one guy and you fix the whole linebacker problem, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? But you can't just be any guy. Don't go back to the third round we need like a Dean. You know what I'm saying? Put Dean in the middle of that
Yeah.
defense. You know what I'm saying? Put Harris in the middle of that defense. Guys like that, you get them in the middle of that defense. Now that defense looks a lot different. You got to think Gannon comes from the whole, Viking thing where he had Kendricks and Barr, and no team really got a Kendricks and Barr. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a couple of teams that got two good linebackers, but no one, those are young, talented linebackers that are like not even probably peaked out of their prime yet. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have that, yes, you can run that cover two all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're going to clean up a lot of mistakes that, other players, make just because their athleticism and their physicality. They're clogging up the run game, and then they're still able to be fast enough to go, guard your best receiver or your best, receiver or tight end. So it's like not everybody has that. And if you don't got that, you can't run that defense. That's just what it's about. Like until you get it, you can run it. But you definitely had to have a lot of other formation, a lot of other things going on with it being part of it, like the RPO and offense. Not that you can never run the RPO, but don't make it your whole offense where you're trying to base everything off. You got this boy throwing the ball 40, 50 times. That's just not going to work. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
You're not playing to the player's strengths, man. But what do you think it's going to be a high game, low game? What do you think the point score is going to be?
I think it'll actually be decently high scoring. I think both of these teams the Broncos are pretty injured, but the Broncos, where they want to win, matches up pretty well with the Eagles. And I'm a huge Fletcher Cox guy. He was one of my first draft crushes. Honestly, there's something about Mississippi State Bulldog defensive tackles. I absolutely love Fletcher Cox. I loved Chris Jones. I loved Jeffrey Simmons. Maybe I just love good defensive tackles. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that would sound like those guys are some beasts.
Incredible. But and Javon Hargrave too. I think South Carolina State. I remember Pittsburgh in the third round. Really liked him in that class too. I really love trench players. That's my favorite. But I think both those guys, as good as they are getting after the quarterback, I have not been super impressed with their run defense this season. And I think that you don't really have a true two-gapper out there. And when you can run a little bit of power at them, and once you get to the second level with those linebackers, it can be big trouble. So. Yeah, really, it can be for this defense. I would say it's the weakness of this defense. I think you're 24th in the NFL in EPA per play in run defense too, so it's not very good. And that leans into the Broncos' strength in exactly what they want to do. They're going to protect the offensive line by leaning into the ground game, getting into the proper run checks, and if you have playing single high, they'll pass the ball short, get it to the playmaker in space. If you're playing too high, they're going to run the football. It's all about box count. So I think that's going to be a big one. But I think that the Eagles also create a lot of problems for the Broncos offensively. What they can do out of empty personnel, empty backfield with Jalen Hurts running power, and then you only have one linebacker in there. That's a problem. Not many teams have a solution for that. And also the amount of screens. I don't know if Jalen Hurts, he's going to have to show that he can hit those intermediate passes at a high level. Right now it's, boom, big Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor down the field, or it's the slant. Those intermediate passes have to come along for him to be a viable long-term quarterback. But right now it's working because of the athleticism and that running ability is an extension of the pass game. Total yards count. We've been arguing this for Lamar Jackson for 4 or 5 years now, right? He only threw for 200 yards. Well, he ran for 200. Like the 400 yards of offense. Come on.
Yeah.
That counts. That counts
it
all
does.
the same.
I hate how they think it matters, man.
Yeah, it does. So I think it'll be decently high scoring. The only thing that makes me pull back on that is both these teams really don't want to give up the big play. So I could see it be a low scoring game for the total, but really it's because each of these teams are marching down the field. So like they're scoring touchdowns and points on every possession. There's just not a lot of possessions to go around, right? Yeah. So that could be a big one, but it should be I really think this is going to be an evenly matched game. I have the Broncos winning just barely. I have 27-25, so the Eagles cover. Good teams win, better teams cover, right? Or whatever they say. But I think, and that's just because Denver's at home as well. So this will be an interesting matchup. I think people in the national media are sleeping on it, but I'm very interested to see how they match up.
Yeah, and I had the Eagles winning because I just feel like we're going to get it together here. 28-17.
Okay,
possible. 28-17. And it, first half, really competitively. But I think, if Gannon if he does what I think he can do, and that's get to Teddy Bridgewater, that second half, man, we should be good and go and start getting some turnovers. Making Teddy do what we know he can do sometime, once he gets the pressure on him.
I will say for your game plan and what you've been preaching, you had your key takeaways or key points of emphasis for the Eagles to win. I think the key emphasis for the Eagles to win this game is get an early lead, because this is not a Broncos team that is built at all to play from behind. They want to be able to have the option of the run, the pass playing from second and short, grinding it out. But if you're making Teddy play shotgun passing offense and throwing it vertically, especially behind this offensive line, they're cooked. In all the games this season, they've been down 10 points, 17 points, second half or very end of the first half. So the Eagles get out hot and put up some points quickly early. That completely changes the flow of the game. But if Denver gets in the front, good luck. It's like the Indiana Jones wall and crows closing in on you with that ground game because they're going to punch you repeatedly and then play action backbreaker over the top.
Yeah, man, exactly. So either way it can work, and I can see it happening both ways. Early in the season, I thought this was for sure W moving down the stretch, but no, watching our team play it out, you know what I'm saying? And now watching your team, that last week, the way they looked, that looked like an unstoppable team straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like that team put up monster game against a really good football team. So I gotta give you guys respect and clout for that. But maybe that was just a high to show that y'all didn't need Von Miller. You know what I'm saying? We're like, we don't need you, Von. Watch this. Boom. Cooper was looking like a monster out there. So we shall see. Well, one thing I like to do at the end of my shows is have your all-time Broncos team. You know what I'm saying? This is just the best players from each position, that you've seen growing up being a Broncos fan. So I usually walk it through so that we can get through it. It takes like 5-10 minutes, depending on how long it takes for you to answer. So who'll be your starting all-time Broncos quarterback and who'll be backing them up?
Oh man, that's an easy one. Peyton Manning and John Elway. Peyton Manning's my all-time favorite quarterback, but I gotta lean John Elway because John Elway is.
I'm a huge Peyton fan too.
Love Peyton. Man, the Manning cast can't get enough. Injected into my veins.
Right.
I'd have to lean John Elway for the starter though, just because of how long he was here. Right. I think Peyton Manning's peak was better than 55 touchdowns in 2013. Like that just doesn't happen. But John Elway probably the starter with Peyton the backup. Although man, that would be a real interesting dynamic in the huddle there in the locker room, right? Peyton would not do well as a backup, but those are the guys.
He ain't backing up nobody. Give me three running backs.
3 running backs. Terrell Davis for sure, number 1. Man, this is going to be hard for me because I'm not as much of a Bronco historian as I am from when I've been a fan onwards. I do have to give credit though to Floyd Little for the running back position. He was literally called the franchise, and because the Broncos drafted him and he was as good as he was, the team is still in Denver. Like there was talk that maybe the Broncos are going to get moved. Doesn't happen because Floyd Little comes in and is good there. Number 2 for me, or number 3, you said 3 running backs. Yep. I'm not going to list any of these guys. Sammy Wanger, definitely worth it. Mike Anderson was solid there, but Clinton Portis. Clinton Portis was absolutely incredible. Yeah, I
hear his name.
Yeah,
I like.
He was amazing. Portis. Also, thank you, Clinton Portis, because without him, we don't end up getting first ballot Hall of Famer Champ Bailey. So thank you so much for your best years, Clinton Portis, and then giving us a guy that's arguably the greatest corner that's played the last 15, 20 years.
I'm very much so thinking, that era, you have Champ Bailey, you had Deion Sanders, those guys, Revis Island, and all those guys. You know what I'm saying? Woodson. Like that, those cornerbacks back in those days. And what's that dude's name? He played Brian Mitchell, was it? No, he played running back, didn't he? Was it Mitchell?
Woodson was a really good cornerback in those days. Chris McAllister with the Ravens there for a little bit was amazing as well. You also had Rondé Barber, right? The Barber brothers there. So
Rondé was good. Everybody's got a Rondé story. You know, he done picked off just about everybody. But who'll be your 2 tight ends?
2 tight ends. This one is a little bit harder just because of the tight end position has been up and down. There's obviously one that is interesting and obvious for me, and that's Shannon Sharp. I mean, talk about all-time trash talker, big-time personality. I absolutely love Shannon Sharp. After that, for the tight end position, it's a little bit harder for me. Again, I'm not as much of the historian. The name that does, Granzier's helping me out here, man, giving me a shout out.
He got all the answers. So if you ever do get struggle, just look in the chat and Grant will get you he'll get you some nice answers. For
sure. But the one, and I do want to give a shout out to Jake Plummer, Jake the Snake Plummer. I still rock a Jake Plummer jersey from back in the day.
Right?
So that was a good guy. So fun. Also, he's a heck of a dude.
What about what's his name? Cutler. Did you like Cutler?
I love Cutler's talent, but he didn't love football to the point where he needed to be great, if that made sense. He leaned on his schools, and he could do that, and he made a heck of a career and a lot of money off of that, but he didn't have the burning desire where he had to be the best, and you kind of have to be that psychopath in the NFL, even with the tools that you have to be the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
that's
but he
true.
was a really talented guy, and also 2 first-round picks for Cutler. I mean, that was a good pick because you made off your investment, plus
Definitely did.
interest. So, yeah.
Definitely did. Who will be on that starting offensive line?
Ryan Clady for me. Ryan Clady, before he had the Liz Frank injury, was absolutely incredible. One of the best tackles, protectors of his era. He got zapped early because of that injury. It really sucks, but man, he was phenomenal there for a bit. The other one for me would be Ryan Zimmerman. Came over before the Broncos in that Super Bowl window. It was incredible there. I got to give a shout out to Stink, Mark Schlereth. Loved him. Got to interact with him a few times. I've been to the NFL Combine a few times covering the Broncos for Mile High Huddle, and Mark Schlereth is always a fun one to talk to. So got to give him a shout out. My center would be Tom Nalen, kind of revolutionized the center position with Mike Shanahan there for a little bit when they were running that wide zone system with the smaller athletes, but were able to reach block that other people couldn't. So shout out to him. And my last guard would be not listed here. I know he's listed on his list there. Chris Cooper, giving Chris Cooper a shout out. He's the Broncos assistant offensive line coach now. He's another guy who was incredible and had his injury cut short, or his career cut short by injury, but big fan of Chris Cooper. And the other tight end I want to give Riley Odom.
I think I skipped over receivers, huh? We didn't do receivers, huh? 4 receivers.
4 receivers. Okay. One for me would definitely Rod Smith would have to be up there for me. Incredible player, undrafted player, all-time Broncos leading receiver. He was incredible there. The next one, not listed here. I know he had his best years with Peyton Manning, but I mean, I think he's way up there in the Broncos record books. Demaryius Thomas was awesome for Denver in a number of years. Maybe again, I'm going to have to go with the guys that I've seen because I'm very much a see it to believe it kind of guy. And I don't want to go off other people's words. So some of these ones I haven't seen as much. So Rod Smith, Demaryius Thomas. After that, I will go Vance Johnson, one of the 3 amigos. He was very good. He stuck out there. And the wide receivers, 3 amigos. Last one I'm going to go, and I really also, I'm being biased here, but I'm building not just the best team ever, but how they would work together. I need to get a slot guy in there. Eddie Royal was so good with the Broncos when he was on there.
Eddie Royal, yeah.
I loved Eddie Royal. There's other guys who are more worth it to be listed there, no doubt about it. But I have to give a shout out to my guy. Eddie Royal's rookie year was incredible. Yeah. He was awesome. Deserves a shout out.
Yeah. Sure. Who's gonna be on your starting defensive line?
Defensive line. Okay, so defensive line for me. I think I could cheat this. Because Von Miller is like a defensive line, but also not defensive line. I'll put Von Miller on the defensive line. He was awesome for the Broncos for those seasons, getting after the quarterback, defensive end, outside linebacker. I don't care. He's rushing off of.
You got to decide: are you going to go 3-4 or 4-3?
Plot twist: 4-2-5, because I believe in the modern NFL. Right? That's everybody's running some variation of 3-4, 4-3 these days.
Right.
The other guy I would be going with the defensive end, Trevor Price. He's kind of so I'm really leaning. Maybe I'm doing a 4-3 under here. Trevor Price was a monster there, first round pick for the Broncos. He had a good second part of his career also with the Baltimore Ravens. But I always huge Trevor Price fan. Shout out to Neil Smith as well. He had some really good years. They brought him over from Kansas City, and then they immediately won a Super Bowl with him. So he was great. Defensive tackle, Keith Tractor Trailer. Shout out to Keith Tractor Trailer.
Yeah.
Great on those Super Bowl teams. I remember a game against Buffalo where he caught a deflected pass and ran it 50 yards for a pick 6. One of my favorite plays of all time as a kid, watching a 350-pound dude run that yard. I mean, incredible. In the snow, too. God, what a great game.
Right.
Also, I want to give a special shout out to somebody who, again, this is me watching my eyes, somebody who did not get as much credit in Denver, but he did a lot of the dirty work that opened things up for Von Miller, and that's Derek Wolfe. He was really good for the Broncos for a number of years, and he was taking on double teams, stunting hard inside, and giving Von Miller a clean one-on-one a lot of times is what he was able to do, complimentary next to Von Miller. So I want to give him a shout-out as well. All
right, then we got the linebackers, the 3 linebackers.
Carl Mecklenburg, Rob Gardenshire. That name's always hard. The Snow Goose, and Al Wilson. Got to give Al Wilson a shout out. Tennessee, another guy, football man, violent game, career cut short, but University of Tennessee, he was incredible. One of the best Mike linebackers we've had here for a while, and probably was one of the first linebackers in a trend that was smaller and faster. You know, it used to be the guys that are just in the box, taking on offensive linemen, meeting guys at the hole. Al Wilson, 6 foot, 240, running around sideline to sideline, making plays. Shout out to Bill Romanowski too. I love Bill growing up, but he's kind of almost a little bit too off the wall, and he leaned a little too hard into that Raiders stuff. So he's still a Bronco in my heart. But yeah,
Romanowski was laying hat out there.
Little roid rage. Yeah, little roid rage.
Very aggressive guy. Aggressive guy. What about 3 cornerbacks?
Again, I'm gonna have to go with off my era, but the guy who probably revolutionized the inside-outside slot cornerback, Chris Harris Jr. He has to have a shout-out. I don't know if the slot cornerback is going to get in the Hall of Fame, but he's one of the best slot cornerbacks that's ever played the game. Honestly, he was that good in his peak. You got to talk about Lewis Wright the third as well. He was absolutely incredible. I've seen highlights of him, a big athlete, so good back there. And then finally, want to give a shout-out. I mean, obvious one, first ballot Hall of Famer, Champ Bailey, one of the best cornerbacks ever. Yep,
Bailey is a man. That was awesome too. Like Champ and Boss Bailey, like you and your brother got such cool names, man. And both of you guys make it pro. That was pretty sick. What about your safeties? Give me 3 safeties.
3 safeties. I'm gonna have to be. Again, I want to give a little bit tip to the current era. Justin Simmons has been a really good safety for the Broncos. I don't know if he's an era-defining safety, but he's been incredible back there. I think he is super versatile too. He can come down and play in the box. He can play slot. He can play 2 high. He can play single high. So Justin Simmons is a very, very good safety. He needs to put together some more seasons on the back end, but he really is good. I think I'd put him up there with almost any safety in the NFL. He's been amazing the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I'd watch out for him. If you're throwing it deep, watch out for number 31. He's amazing.
I like his number. That's my number, 31, man.
31.
Like
there you go. Yeah.
That's what had me watching him last week. I was like, who's that number 31? Oh, Simmons. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he got I think he's the second highest paid safety in football. And there's a reason for that. He's very good. Wow. Steve Atwater. Oh my God.
Atwater.
Love Atwater. Again, another guy talked about the combine. And let me tell you, Atwater, for as big as he hits and as scary, as intimidating as he looks, literally the nicest person you will ever meet in your entire life. I'm just, a 24-year-old, dork there covering the NFL combine there. And I see Steve Atwater. I'm like, I got to go talk football with him. Kid you not, talk with that guy for 45 minutes, just talking football and having a good time, and doesn't, talk down to me or like he doesn't have enough time for me or anything. So huge shout out to Steve Atwater. Love that man. What a dude. And then after that, Brian Dawkins. I know that I got to do it. Got to do it.
Body makes double. B-Dawkins is a double participant. He is in the Eagles Hall of Fame every show, and now he done made the Broncos Hall of Time list. I love it.
Yep. And then a special shout out also kicker, Jason Elam. Really good kicker for the Broncos for a number of years.
63-yarder. I remember watching it. Yep. Yeah, man, that dude's a monster. What about the punter?
Oh man, the Broncos have been rotating punters like crazy, I guess. And I'll be honest with you, punting, it just makes me nauseous because the Broncos special teams are really bad. We didn't even talk about that. If the Broncos are going to lose this game, special teams probably have a role in this. Maybe it's a blocked punt too. Their punting game has been terrible. Their coverage units have been terrible. As far as punter goes.
Oh man, how did it not even say his name?
John Lynch. I had to say Justin Simmons. John Lynch was very good in Denver, but he was
a beast.
He was so much better in Tampa Bay than he was in Denver, and I'm on an Eagles podcast, so if it was a tie goes to the runner, right, kind of thing, right? I'm saying as far as punter goes, I'm really still upset that they let go of Kern. When they did, let go of Kern, and I think brought in Todd Sauerbrunn, who immediately got busted for steroids and was out of the Broncos a year after that. And fullback, I got to go Howard Griffith for the shout out there. I know the fullback
was not going to let that go. He's like, fullback.
Yep. No, absolutely. Howard Griffith.
What about your return guys? Who's going to be your kick returner? Who's going to be your punt returner?
Oh, man. Kick returner? I'll just have to go off what my eyes have seen historically again, right? I don't know every single person that returned punts, but Trindon Holiday was as fun as it gets. When the Broncos had him, also he was like 5'4". That season when they had Trindon Holiday. Yeah, for the Super Bowl.
Was fast.
Yes, he was. I mean, he muffed like every other kick, but he also like would return 4 or 5 touchdowns a year, so he was incredible. And Dennis Smith deserves a shout out as well. I really do like Dennis Smith. But again, Brian Dawkins and Justin Simmons. I wanted to give him a shout out. Steve Smith is the one who's in Sharpie. The other returner, Trindon Holiday gets a shout out, but Eddie Royal also is rookie season. Man,
Eddie Royal was a beast at returning kicks too.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Those are 2 nice ones right there. I like those 2. Who'll be your offensive coordinator? Who'll be your defensive coordinator?
All-time defensive coordinator. Can I use Vic Fangio as my defensive coordinator?
Whoever you like, my guy.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll go Wade Phillips. You won a Super Bowl with Wade Phillips. He was there multiple stints. He was the head coach in Denver for a little bit. So I'll lean Wade Phillips at the defensive coordinator there. Offensive coordinator is going to be Gary Kubiak, like he says here. And maybe you can even have Mike Shanahan be an offensive quality control guy because you have Mike Shanahan right here. So Mike and Kyle together and Gary. And also Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator for the Vikings right now. So you got a real nepotism thing going on there. But they're doing pretty good. So maybe it's not the worst.
All right. So you said Shanahan would be your head coach?
Mike Shanahan, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And he just got put in the Broncos Ring of Fame. He's got the best steakhouse in Denver as well. Sorry,
Ooh,
sorry
I'm
to
about to
John
go there
Elway.
and try that one out.
Yeah, the Shanahan's is a good one. And they won 2 Super Bowls with them. Also, it's a knife twist for me, because Shanahan was fired by the Raiders and then went to Denver and was amazing and just beat the crap out of the Raiders every year.
Yeah.
So double thumbs up for Shanahan for that.
All right, man. Hey, that was a great list, man. Thank you again for coming on the show, man. Let everybody know one more time where they can find you at. We got 15 in here. Please hit that like and subscribe to both channels. You know what I'm saying? He does the Mile High Huddle, and his link is also in the description and inside of the chat. And if you're from the Broncos, subscribe to BIRDGANG 31, Eagles content, but we cover a lot of teams on this show, so we like to have fun with it. So go ahead and let them know.
Yeah, guys, find me on Twitter at Nick Kendall MHH. Thank you for the time. I'm live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning to cover the Broncos and the Falcons on Wednesday morning, and I also do a show Tuesday evening and Saturday evening over on Mile High Huddle. And while I do cover the Broncos, my real passion in football is the transition of college to the draft to the NFL. I absolutely adore the NFL draft. It's my favorite thing. And it's so, I mean, a lot of it's subjective. I know there's a lot of luck involved, but just like that grinding and understanding how the traits and the positions and what matters goes to the NFL. So much fun. And with you guys having 3 first-round picks this year, probably need to brush up on the draft class. So
we definitely need to do a show around draft time, my guy. That'd be so sick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, it starts this week, baby. We got to get back on the right track. Since starting in Denver. Sorry, my guy. It was fun. Great show. But I have to go. Like I said, my Birds got to get this win. And then we're going to go through this whole New York, Washington football team, all the way up to the Cowboys at the end there. And hopefully we will be sitting there in a nice wild card by the end of the season. I still got my faith high for my team. You know what I'm saying? But if we let Teddy Bridgewater do his thing and he look like he'd be the 80% quarterback, then pink slips need to come out. So, like I said, thank everybody for coming to the show again. Please, like I said, like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? We're on the road to 2K, 1.6 or something like that. In the first 4 or 5 months, man, I couldn't be more happier. Much love to all you guys for sharing out my content. And let's get it to some more people so the channel can continue growing, in the rate that it's going. So much love to you. Shout out to you again and the rest of you guys at Mile High. And fly, Eagles, fly. Until next time, this is BIRDGANG 31, and we are out. Peace.